Got it going?
Got it.
All right, so here we are now. C for the home chord. So we're going to be thinking about, all right, now I'm going to go to the E minor. And then the E minor back to the C, the same thought of that, reaching for that ring to be over. Like I said, as we go through these, we're going to get doubled down because you remember in the E minor loop, we were E minor to G, then E minor to C. So now we're C to E minor and then E minor back to C. So we're doubling down. C to the G. Now, one thing we can think about this, the ring is already on the fret that it needs to be. He's just going to go downward as that middle leaps up. Again, kind of thinking about the leapfrog, he's jumping to the next lily pad. So have that real trajectory for that middle finger. Watching that ring, he's already on the fret he needs to be. Downward motion. And then back to the C, you're going back to C, you look great. C to A minor, remember just the index or just the ring finger is going to move, the index is going to stay put. C to F, real nice and easy by bringing that ring in the middle. Again, the shape repeats itself. So now C to the D. That was the one that was a little troublesome. Again, thinking about that, it's ring and middle still staying in that same, so you can practice it like that. Not even worry about your index and just down and up on that to really enforce the middle staying below the ring. So then we can take it on the other side too and practice just bringing the index and the middle together. Kind of a bunk beds kind of a thing there.
Cool.
So you can focus on that. All right, then you can take it a step further and not worry about your middle for a minute and only focus on the ring and the index coming to where they need to go. Like I said, you ultimately want to pick them up and all three are landing. So you can think about practicing it as this. You can think about it as practicing it as this. And you can think about practicing it as this. Like I said, looking at the piece of art from those three different directions. And then ultimately, you're going to be collapsing down the beach chair, opening back out the chair. That collapsing kind of emotion right there. So C to E minor to C, C to G, G to C, C to A minor to C, A minor to F, F to C, C to D, D back to C. So that's the C loop.
Okay.
Now we've added as well the A minor loop because as we're getting this thing going, we're gaining that independent control of the fingers, so they're coming a little bit easier. A minor to E minor, real nice and easy. Just think about the ring in the middle up and down and the index comes into play. A minor to G. Now again, similar to the E minor to G, we're going to have the split. So the middle goes up while the ring comes down. Even if you need to boil it down to that for a little bit of just those two fingers. A minor to G. Back to A minor. A minor to C, yep, just push that ring again. A minor to F, take advantage of leaving the index. And the ring goes up one over one. And the middle comes down to where the ring was at. Again, always look at that thought of where fingers are in correlation to where they need to get to. A minor to D. So we're going to think about again, all right, this shape is going to repeat itself coming from here now. And again, you can think about where your ring is. He's going down one over one. Middle, he's already on the fret he needs to be. He's just sinking all the way to the bottom. And then the index again, replacing where your ring was at. So we're thinking A minor to E minor back to A minor to G, G back to A minor to C, C back to A minor to F, F back to A minor to D, D back to A minor. And again, not even worry about your right hand. You can do that on a different thing. All right, I'm gonna make sure that I'm getting good sounding chords. But on those thoughts, just be thinking about all your focus, even if you put your hand here, and just be all the focus in the world to be able to get those fingers moving. Like I said, nothing has to have a ta-da feeling. Very deliberate, slow motion movements. Those kind of things are just perfect.